be honest though, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but the whole market is looking like it could struggle this year with the cost of living up and bikes generally being a bit of a luxury for most people that are, a simple choice to cut out. That could be reflected in the latest industry figures in the UK, which come from the MCIA or Motorcycle Industry Association as reported this week by MCN. So January 2025 numbers were down by about 30% year over year, with 4,201 bikes sold as opposed to 6,043. Well, I say sold, but this is actually registration data, the dealers registering the bikes, and so that could account for some of the drop. With Euro 5 plus emissions regulations coming into play at the beginning of this year, meaning that a lot of dealers have pre-registered their bikes in December in order to be able to sell them this year, and that means they wouldn't necessarily show up in the January figures if they did sell them because they've already registered them in December. Still, that doesn't change the fact though that this is a fairly common theme in the data over the past couple of years. An MCN quote Tony Campbell, CEO of MCIA, as saying, "We'll be keeping a close eye on the market as we move out of winter and into early spring, where it will be a critical period for the rest of the year." Still, there is a little bit more depth in these numbers, and one manufacturer who seems to be getting it right is Honda. Over the past couple of years, they've come up with some really aggressively priced bikes like the 750 Hornet, the new CB1000 Hornet, and also for 2025 the GB350S. And it seems like, from what I'm seeing in the MCIA figures anyway, that they really are hitting the mark. According to January sales data, the NT1100, for example, which is another great value bike, well, that's been the best-selling tourer and the best-selling litre plus bike, beating both the BMW R1300 GS and the GSA, which are both usually top of the tree when it comes to over 1,000 cc's. Then the CB1000 Hornet is the best-selling naked bike too, and the GB350S is the best-selling modern classic and also the bestseller in the 125 to 500 class. To me, that's particularly impressive because they've beat a lot of strong competition, with the Triumph 400s, for example, being featured at the top of the list last year very frequently, and also Enfield's 350 lineup generally filling those top spots if it wasn't the Triumphs. But look, I don't think it's any surprise that a £3,949 bike is selling particularly well at the moment. And the same for the Hornet, the CB1000 at $8,999 for the standard bike and $9,999 for the fancy SP version. Perhaps Harley could learn a thing or two from Honda, although realistically it's Honda's humongous sale figures. We talked about that last week. They sell 20 million motorcycles, or two-wheelers let's say, across the globe in a year, that mean they've got the scale that's perhaps required to make such aggressively priced bikes. Fair play though, it does seem to be working, and ultimately more great bikes on the market at a lower price point is always going to be good for the average biker. And we've actually got both the GB350S and the CB1000 Hornet SP in the studio at the moment for review, so do keep your eyes peeled for those videos as soon as they go live, where we'll find out if they're actually as good as these initial sales figures suggest. And of course, if you're new here and you haven't already, do hit subscribe to see those in your feed.